I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Achtung Millwall podcast supports the Lions Food Hub, dear listeners, and you can do too by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt from noonelikes.co.uk, also known as Nolu Clothing. They've got a wonderful Achtung Millwall t-shirt on there for £15. At least £8 of each sale goes to support the Lions Food Hub, which does fantastic work for families in and around the South East 16 area. Show your allegiances on the podcast front, dear listeners, by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt, and by doing that, you'll support the wonderful, the brilliant Lions Food Hub. Noonelikes.co.uk, Achtung Millwall t-shirt, £15. Check it out.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to part 2 of Achtung 726, our continuing coverage of Saturday's dramatic last gasp 1-0 win over Stoke City, of course, dear listeners. My name is Nick Hart. You are listening to the number 1 Mill podcast. You can't beat a last gasp winner, dear listeners, can you? That late penalty from Mihailo Ivanovic, 90 plus 3 minutes. And it certainly sent most of the 16,000 plus crowd, apparently, in the Den, which is pretty good official attendance, I suppose you have to say, on Saturday. But we went home unexpectedly happy, because it was in truth a fairly dreary affair overall, I thought. If I was being totally unbiased, I'll probably say that Stoke had the balance of play, really. There was certainly 2 opportunities in the second half. The crossbar shot from the left side from the number 10 for Stoke, and then a really good save from Lucas Jensen thereafter, a few moments later, to keep the striker at bay. The ball fell into his path rather, a little bit of luck and fortune about that. But they had a lot of possession, and I suppose you would say they looked the more dangerous side. Mill never really having much in the way of excitement, but Lady Luck smiled upon us with that late spot kick, which was well put away by Mihailo, I thought. Really nice penalty. I don't like any effort. I would formally ban it from Calmont Road, any Panenka type nonsense. I think we saw Aaron Connolly have a go at that, didn't we, a few matches back. But I like a good, solid shot into the top right-hand corner, which is exactly what we got from Mihailo Ivanovic. And that was despite some mind games from Stoke City, so well played, Mia. We like our penalties taken like that in South Bermondsey, is what I've written for the BBC website, dear listeners. Now, this is a season that refuses to die, isn't it? I must admit, Saturday's game felt to me like we were mentally on the beach, as the cliche has it. And that late winner kind of keeps the Lions' faintly flickering hopes of playoff football alive. Certainly over to the other side of the international break, which is impending this weekend. We go to Sunderland on the 29th. Difficult game, blah, blah, blah. But we do seem to just about find results and moments, where we least expect them to. Top 6 certainly looks a long way off, got to be realistic, but we're alive, and as long as we're breathing, there is hope. As I put it to the BBC, I quite like this phrase. You shouldn't be overly praise yourself, should you, listeners, but I referred to Lady Luck, not just smiling on Millwall, but maybe laughing her head off, rolling around on the floor. ROFL Lady Luck at the prospect of the Millwall possibly still having a chance at making Premier League playoff football. Now, this is the voicemail show, listeners. We've got quite a few to get through. So I'm going to begin us today, dear listeners, with John Rankin. Let's go with John first up.
Hi Nick, hi listeners. John Rankin calling from the A2 on our way home. And interesting game, not to take away from that. Bit of a tough watch in the first half. Not a lot of chances created. Spoke to fellow contributor to the podcast, Matt Richards, before the game, bumped into him by the blue bus. We both sort of, raised our eyebrows at the fact that he was playing two big men up front, Ivanovic and Coburn. For me, it didn't work. Not because I'm against the two men up front, but because they play a very similar game. They're big guys who like to kind of go through on goal directly and have an attempt on goal. And I just think it was kind of split personality, really. It was Millwall schizophrenia. I didn't really know who was supposed to be where and what they were supposed to be doing. And I think it was a lot better when Connolly came on for Imaku. But on to the first half, our main outlet seemed to be Idemo Imaku, and he met his match today in that full-back. Imaku's pretty one-dimensional in that his main way of attacking is to use his pace, push the ball past the full-back, and then run round him and get in front of him. And the Stoke full-back just wasn't having any of that. He was as quick as or quicker than Imaku, and Imaku soon got frustrated and gave away a yellow card by fouling him when the full-back was running into the Millwall half after dispossessing him of the ball. So I think we learnt there that Imaku's main threat is as an impact sub, where he comes on for the last 20 or 30 and he's there to use his pace against perhaps tired fullbacks. But that's the second time I've seen him start, and I'm not sure about using him as our main outlet. So on to the game. I thought our midfield was pretty light. Interesting combination. For me, I was glad to see Wes Harding come on. I'm still not sure whether Tristan Kramer works at right back for me. Big defensive mistake led to Stoke getting through and hitting the crossbar. And I'm just not sure about him, to be honest with you. He played really well on his first game, but since then he's been a little bit shaky for me. But I don't know. I mean, he's obviously a good player. He's a centre-half playing out of position. So the first half was pretty drab, pretty dire. A bit disappointing really with Millwall, to be honest with you. They weren't really passing it to feet. They weren't holding the ball up. I thought Joe Bryan has been playing quite well lately, and he played well. Tanganga and Cooper were competent. Kramer did enough, but it's got mistakes in him. And the midfield, Billy and Denor were busy, but playing in a two like that with Bangura Williams, who was quite quiet, showed a couple of touches, but I think he's got to start growing into games a bit more. It was pretty quiet. Second half was better. I thought Millwall were a bit more purposeful, but for me the big turning point was when Aaron Connolly came on for Imaku. First thing Connolly did, he got played the ball tight into space, but he kept the ball really near his body, drew the foul, and immediately caused a bit of aggravation and friction with his opposite number. There was a little bit of pushing and shoving and collar feeling, and that got the crowd into the game. It raised the tempo, raised the atmosphere, and I think we were a different side after that. It just raised the spirits. Aaron Connolly was dangerous every time he got on the ball, and ultimately he got the penalty, I think. I haven't seen it. I've seen the the actual penalty itself on a replay, but I haven't seen the lead up to it. But I'm pretty sure it looked like Connolly being bundled over in a dangerous position, drawing the foul again. So I saw Casper Denore run over to the bench when we had the penalty, and Alex Neil obviously said no, it's Ivanovic is going to take it, and didn't the Serb take it well? Classic penalty. Goalkeepers like to dive to their right, because if he's right-handed, which he was right-footed, that's the easiest way to dive. And as a penalty taker, Ivanovic exploited that by obviously shaping up to put the ball to his left, striking across the ball, opened his body up right at the last minute and side-footed it with power though into the side netting. Brilliant. We went bonkers. First time Millwall's got a penalty since, I think, Jed Wallace against Bristol in 2021, something like that. 2022. No, 2021. And there you are. So, it's international break now. I think our next fixture's not until the 5th of April. So until then, come on you Lions. Hi Nick, dear listeners, just got in and I thought I've watched the replay. I got it wrong on my first voicemail. It wasn't Connolly that won the penalty. It was Josh Coburn from the looks of it. So thanks very much indeed. Cheers, come on you Lions.
Nice one, John. Yeah, Coburn won the penalty. In real time, I was quite convinced it was a penalty. Now, I know, if you're running a Millwall podcast, you're kind of professionally bound to be in favour of Millwall decisions, but I generally did think it was a penalty. A few sour comments after the game from Mark Robbins, their manager. As ever, I think he called us spoilers. It wasn't a great game, that's for sure. And I won't dress it up any other way. It was a poor match really from two sides that one was mentally booking their holidays via Ryanair going out of Stansted, and the other was desperate for points. So I can see why he's trying to talk his own team up, but I didn't think there was much in it either way. I didn't see enough of the crossbar hit, John. If it was a defensive error, then from my angle I just couldn't see enough of that. I do agree the turning point was the introduction of Aaron Connolly, and I mentioned this in the show at the weekend about it's intriguing me as to why Connolly is not getting more game time. Why is he not starting? He's come on twice now, I think, as a kind of an impact sub. But he made his impact, that's for sure. But I don't know what reason there is not to start him. Whether he's not got 60 minutes in him or 70 minutes or whatever you might expect from your starter in that position, I don't know. Whether there's other factors, I don't know. But I just thought he looked really intelligent. He retains the ball well and he lays it off nice. And we did look at different prospects, and I think that little bit of pushing and shoving handbags that you described, John, I think was the turning point. That said, Ivanovic has got a big job on his hands. Once we've won the penalty, it's got to be put in the net, and we've seen bigger players than him miss them. And I really like the look of this boy, the way he hits a dead ball. He's a bit of a natural on that. There are areas of his game where he's got to improve. He's got to get stronger on the ball. We're using the two-man front line experiment that you referred to, John. I do agree didn't really work for me. It never really looked dangerous. And the reason for that, I believe, is that neither Mihailo or Josh Coburn are real target men in the classic sense. They're not big bruising, battering ram strikers. The days of those kinds of players probably have gone, like the era of the T-Clippers down at the Cutty Sark, and we don't have them anymore. So to play a two-man front line kind of implied to me we're going to bombard the penalty area with crosses in from the wings. That didn't really happen. And use the height of both players. That it just didn't really work out on the day. Whether it can work out in the future, I don't know. Something I suppose for Alex Neil's notebook really to say it certainly didn't work out today. I thought Idemo, just to go back to Idemo, was our threat through the game. He's the only player that really looked like he was hungry to go after it. I do agree he's not got much in his repertoire of ability to beat a man, John. It does depend on pace and power, which he's got plenty of. But I do think you're probably right in that he's an impact sub. We are at a stretch with injuries at the moment. So there we are. Huge thank you to John Rankin. Let's have Hassan Koulé.
Hello Nick, it's Hassan here. Just leaving some comments and thoughts after yesterday's game against Stoke. I've got to be honest, I thought we were doomed right from the kickoff. The referee, how dare he go against the workings and teachings of, who's the chap you mentioned, Reverend Audrey, something or another. So we were attacking our home end in the first half, which I think we know me all long enough to know it's a weird superstition, but it doesn't always go well. But anyway, we went past that. Very end of season type feel to the game. I thought Stoke came for the draw, and to be fair, maybe they could have nicked it. They did hit the bar. They had a shot where Jensen made a really good save with his foot. So we rode our luck there, and maybe just them riding bad luck as they are towards the bottom end of the table. But otherwise, we tried to string a few things together. It was an attacking lineup, having two up top. Certainly was a throwback to yesteryear. I'll go straight into it. That penalty at the end, the pundits on Sky, they were moaning like, how dare the referee give that? It was never a penalty, this and that, very soft. Do you know what? I think Stoke got what they were coming to them. The whole game, they were pulling Ivanovic and Coburn all over the place. They were manhandling them, giving them all sorts of shit. And to be honest with you, it's no more than we deserved, but based on previous assaults, if anything, on likes of Jake Cooper. The amount of penalties we should have had over the years, especially at home, on him alone, we deserve a soft penalty at home. I'm sorry. I've read somewhere that it's our first penalty at home for like 2 years. That's a fucking joke. So at the end of the day, it's just desserts. Unfortunately for Stoke, it was them who took the bullet. But we deserved a penalty at some point at home for manhandling in the box. It's a joke. So I couldn't give a fuck about Stoke. I don't give a shit that it was soft in their eyes. We deserved that in the end. I'm happy for Ivanovic the way he put the penalty away. I hope Connolly and Coburn have got a pen and paper to hand. That's how you take a penalty. And I'll tell you what, Ivanovic, again, every time he scores, he just looks more and more confident. And it's a shame that we play a system where he's so isolated, or we haven't got better players to get him involved in the game, because I think he would be on double figures by now in goals. He's on 6. He's our top goal scorer, thankfully. He's overtaken Watmore. And someone made a comment on Twitter about he's the best finisher of a ball since Neil Harris. And I can sort of see why. Neil Harris the first time around, because he can do everything. Both feet, he can head in the air and on the floor. He's got cheeky little chips in the locker. Now he's got a penalty and a free kick. I forgot about the free kick. He can take set pieces as well. So he's coming an all-round striker. Next season, we just need to build a team around him. We need to sign players who are going to supplement him alone, because he will get us a bag full of goals in the champ. I won't keep it very long. I thought Mitchell was outstanding. He's looking more and more confident on the ball as well as off it. He does little good feints, and I think he's starting to nail down that position now. Saville, I don't know why we persist with him. If we keep talking about looking at assets, that horrible word, why are we sticking with Saville? I've gone past him now. Just stick with Billy Mitch, even if he fucks up. There's no point keep dropping him. Just keep him to the end of the season. If he's not the man, then get someone else in. But I think for me, he had a brilliant game yesterday. I think he got man of the match. I think he's well deserved. Dinor had another good game. Imaku as well. He tried his best. So I haven't got much more to add to that. It's a 1-0 win at home, last minute winner. We're going to the international break, a much needed break, I think, for everyone involved, players, staff, the lot. It's just, I feel sorry for Alex Neil. It feels like it's been relentless since he's come in. I'm pretty sure the only time we've had a full week without a game was the cup games, Leeds and Palace. Apart from that, it's been Saturday, Tuesday all the way. And for a new manager to come in to handle all that, and the fact that it looks like we're above 50 points now, so we're not going down, and we still got a shout at the playoffs. And I still don't think we're going to go in the playoffs, but it's all, for me, it's all working towards next season. I'm all for that. But otherwise, over and out, and all the best.
Excellent stuff by Hassan there. Yeah, it's the Venerable Bede, Hassan. I think Reverend Audrey wrote Thomas the Tank Engine, but fuck it, I might start quoting him, because I think he's probably just as much of a judge, and certainly it does always look a bit weird when we attack the cold blow in the first half. Something a little bit, it's a bit like putting your shoes on the wrong way round, listeners. What do you think? The penalty, when I got home in real time, I will be honest with listeners, I thought it was a penalty. I didn't see any reason to think of it as any kind of soft decision. If Josh Coburn worked that, then he wants a Grammy or an Oscar award, because that was very, very well worked in that case, and I want to see more of that, because that's great acting. That's method acting that Robert De Niro might be proud of. Personally, I having watched the replay, there's an entanglement of arms, isn't there, in the 6-yard box, and Josh goes over, which he's going to do. I mean, he's a professional striker in the Championship, so if you get entangled with a defender, you're probably going to make a convincing roll to try and work a last chance, opportunity. But what I would also say is the Stoke defender comes down on top of him onto the back of his knee, so he's pushing his knee forwards. So he's taken his man down in that sense. I don't think it was a soft penalty. I didn't see, obviously, any of the comment, and I can well imagine what they were saying in the Sky studio. As we've said on other shows, we've got to understand, and possibly for some still absorb, that the media will loathe and despise us, and that's the origin of the song, that no one likes us, but we shouldn't care. Let them moan. I thought it was a penalty, and it was really well put away by Ivanovic. 6 goals, I think you said. Hassan, I've not looked at the scoring charts, but it sounds about right, and I thought he just took that really, really well. And it's so nice to see a penalty properly struck, top right hand corner, like they try and teach you to at school, and that's what you want. I think it was Tony Monday, on big shout out to Tone, on X, called Ivanovic the best finisher since Neil Harris. It's a little bit early to be saying that, Tone, but I know where you're going with it, mate. I do get your starting point on that. What I really like about Ivanovic is he has confidence, and he's willing to back himself. He's a youngster, and he hasn't learned fear yet, has he? So long may that continue. So, his willingness to take shots from distance, we've seen that. There's a goal he scored at, where was it? I can't remember the bird we played now, but you hear it from distance, into the from some about 25 yards out, called it on the volley, didn't he? Was that Luton? So, he's got the confidence to take on these big moments, and he's got the goal scorer's instinct that he's in and around the 6-yard box. I think we've got to find a way to use him, and I think that's what Tony was driving at when that post that he made about being the best finisher. We've got to find a pattern of play. Alex Neil, this is his challenge, I think, because we do have a good goal scorer there. Josh Coburn's similar. He's probably a little bit more physical, but he's by no means a Paul Moody or a Cascarino style, but he's got a little bit more of the touch of that. But I do like the look of Mihailo Ivanovic, because goals are what going to win your games, and that's just what we haven't scored enough of. So yeah, let's hope that Alex Neil can find a way to bring him into play more often. We're going to take a little short break, listeners, for any advertisements or advertisements. I suppose I watched a thing on criticising the creeping Americanisation. I'm catching myself calling it advertisements. It's an advertisement. Let's take a little break and be back after that with David Lederkramer.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hi Nick, David Lederkramer here. After the 1-0 win against Stoke, I have to say that I didn't see that coming. I thought that for the first half we were pretty dreadful, hardly created anything. They looked much sharper to the ball, and we didn't really, I don't think we created a chance that I can remember. The setup was interesting, obviously 4-2-4, but it just didn't seem to work. I thought that the Stoke centre-backs certainly had the measure of Coburn. He was muscled off the ball quite a lot, and we just didn't look like happening. In fact, if anything, I thought Stoke looked the better side, and I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd have gone in ahead. The second half started off a bit like the first. Again, Stoke seemed much tidier on the ball than us, and they had that very. We were very lucky with the ball that came off the bar, and at that point you would have probably thought that they were going to go on and get the points. At least that's what I thought. Then the game changer, I suppose, was when Connolly came on. He made a lot of difference. I think that and for some reason Stoke decided to back off us. Perhaps it was our play that made them do that, but certainly we looked more attacking in the last 20. Alex Neil said after the game that he thought we were the only team in the last 20 minutes likely to score. And then, of course, the penalty. I haven't actually seen it back. It looked at the time fairly... I don't know, I couldn't really make out whether it was deserved or not, but who cares? The reality is that we score, Ivanovic scores, very nice, takes the penalty very well. I think it's the first time we've had a penalty at the Den for I don't know, 3 or 4 years. So somebody with better statistical knowledge than I will doubtless confirm it. Overall thoughts on the game were that we stuck at it. We don't look anything better than a mid-table team. I'm surprised to see that after the later matches, we're actually only, I think, 6 points off the playoffs. But frankly, we just, it would be ridiculous if we were to make them, because I don't think that we've got the depth of squad that justifies it. I'm just glad we've got the 51 points, clearly not going down, and hopefully we can blood some of the youngsters in the remaining games and finish in the top half of the table. The players I thought who played really well. I thought Joe Bryan had a terrific game. I thought he really was classy. Made some very good defensive interceptions. Also passed the ball around very well. And I think he for me, he was my man of the match. Jensen played very well, showing us what a great is probably too strong a word, but showing us what a really good shot stopper he is, and was definitely kept us in the match with that very good reflex save, which really Stoke should have scored when Stoke really should have scored. As for the rest, Denor had a busy game as he always does. Billy Mitchell, I thought, played pretty well. Was very tidy, had a lot of work to do in that midfield. Kramer is just not a right back. The occasional good cross, but quite often it goes nowhere. And clearly we need a proper right wing back, which I think is something that Alex Neil will address in the close season. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Centre backs, I thought again played pretty well, and overall it was an okay performance, topped off by perhaps a lucky goal, but we conceded a last second goal against Cardiff. Sometimes what goes around comes around. Anyway, I'm pleased that we got the win. Pleased that we go into this international break completely safe, unable, just looking forward to the remaining 8 games of the season, and hopefully we'll see some entertaining football with some of the youngsters blooded. Come on, you Lions.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I didn't see it coming, I've got to be honest. It was the introduction of Aaron Connolly that turned the game, and as we've mentioned him already. I think it was Hassan actually mentioned Billy Mitchell, and you've just mentioned him there, David, as well as Joe Bryan. But I just wanted to mention Billy because the club had put out a clip of him doing like a Johan Cruyff turn, which caught my eye in real time, but it went out of my head after I left the stadium. But watching the clip on the club's Twitter feed, it's a really nice take and turn. It's probably a more flamboyant move and moment from Billy than I might have expected. He sprayed the ball rightwards, found a man in space over on the right side. Might have been Kramer, I don't know. Really nice stuff. What I really like, and maybe this is working with Alex Neil as a new manager, because I'm going to speculate now, listeners, that a lot of players seem to be, and I include Joe Bryan, which you, David, just mentioned. A lot of players are kind of flowering slightly. Even though I would include, although he wasn't particularly on it, Idemo and Marku, and I suppose you'd have to say Mihailo himself up front. A little bit of TLC seems to go a long way in this life, doesn't it, listeners? I think maybe with the new management coming in, the clearing out of some of the baggage, shall we call it, of the past, the knowledge that the new manager is looking at you fairly, rather than with some preconceived notion as to how you came to be at the club. I think we're seeing a lot of improvement across the squad. That said, we did look like we were on the beach for a fair chunk of time Saturday, so it was very welcome 3 points. Can we make it to the playoffs? It's a long shot, David. I do agree. Whether we would deserve it or not, I'm not even going to touch that, because you don't seem to get what you deserve in this life, nor certainly not in this football life. Speaking of which, the statistic about that being the first penalty in 2, 3, 4 years, I don't know. The callers on the show have mentioned different lengths of time, so I don't know what the statistic is. But and I'm not one for conspiracy theories, listeners. I really am not. But I do think that referees come to the Den with the intention of not being obviously swayed by the home crowd. It is the proverbial difficult place to come. But it can't be right that decisions are not given our way, and with a few callers have mentioned Jake Cooper being rugby league tackled. We've seen it many, many times, and decisions not going our way because of that, because of the Millwall factor, and that Millwall factor I think is a design not to be shown to be a home referee influenced by the well-known crowd. There we are, rightly or wrongly. I think that's what's behind that statistic. Big thank you to David. We're going to listen to Matt Richards and then Rob Woodford.
Hello, Nick. Matt Richards, just dialing in with my thoughts over yesterday's game. I think we just about deserved the 3 points. This wasn't a great game, obviously, and poor quality or average quality, I'd say, on both sides. Stoke clearly with more to play for than us, but it wasn't a great game, and it had 0-0 written all over it until obviously the 94th minute penalty, which was great to see. I think it's an interesting times, isn't it? Really, we're definitely a work in progress. Alex Neil trying out new formations, forced into playing certain players because of injuries. But also, it's good that we're kind of getting to see more of some of these players like Bangura, Williams, Idemo, just trying out new things and seeing how they fit into his plans, really. Because as we know, so especially up top anyway, we've got loads of players of similar types of players or in similar types of positions. Your Connollys, your Cundalls, forgetting about all the players that are injured, like Negley, Baker, and we can go on forever, can't we? But and Femi Aziz, who actually was missed yesterday, especially if we're playing two up top. I think Femi Aziz is our best crosser of the ball, I think we missed him yesterday. It was a good performance in so much as we kind of were resilient and we stopped them playing. I thought, especially in the second half, I think Billy did really well. Billy Mitchell did really well, and I think he plays well with Casper. I think he gives him a bit more freedom to kind of get forward. Billy tidying up, didn't put a foot wrong, and so that's good to see. I think that central midfield pairing is good. Whether we'll look to strengthen further in the summer, we'll wait and see. Maybe that's the case. I don't think it's the most important part of the team. But I thought they played really well. Joe Bryan, I thought, was my man of the match. I thought he was. We've always known he's got class. But the frustrations have been when he's let himself down with defending, and he hasn't done that recently. But you can see what the difference he makes. His touches, strength down the left, particularly. I think Idemo was kind of benefiting from him as well, and so. It's just his passing ability and touches control. It does help, and also he's got experience, and he uses that experience really well in certain situations of getting fouls or managing to use his body against players. So well played, Joe Bryan, definitely. I think if we talk about the penalty was half and half really. Yeah, I've seen them given, we've seen them not given. But I thought there was definite. People mentioned it. There was a definite tug on Coburn before that when actually Idemo played a really good ball into the box, and the 6-yard box, Coburn got tugged back. So I think that kind of evened itself out really. So penalty, we'll take that. We don't get many of them, do we? And well put away by Mihailo. Mihailo would just... I've got so many great hopes for him. I think I don't know why he gets a bit of criticism. I mean, people forget he's only 20 and he's only his first season in English football. But the touches he's got, I think his all-round play just seems to get better game by game. And, he's playing with different players every week as well. New formation yesterday. So, the confidence the boy's got, bearing in mind we've missed our last 2 penalties. He just picks the ball up, against, in front of the away end. 94th minute, there's don't get many more pressurised situations than that, and calm as you like, as we know, top sport is played in the head, really. That's the difference between really, really good players and just average players, and he's definitely got all the confidence in the world in his head. So well played, Mihailo, and I'm looking forward to the future, really. Like I am, I think, with the whole team. I was thinking about, think about the last 2 seasons around about this time of year, March, a couple of years ago, obviously we were pushing for the playoffs, or, we did our best to kind of fall away, but even then, in the last game of the season, we still had a chance, and that was a stressful time for players, fans, management, etc. And then last season, obviously, very different situation with Harris coming in and a miracle saving us. That was stressful as well. This is weird. We haven't had this for a while, where we've, the season's over. So it's weird. And actually, I'm quite enjoying it in a way, because all we're thinking about now is next season and what players he's going to play and what players are going to bring in and who's going to go. And it makes a nice change. Don't get me wrong. I don't want it every year because it'll be dull as dishwater. But no, I'm quite enjoying it. So it's all about next season, and I'm feeling positive because I think next season, the Championship will still be pretty much the same as it was this year. I think there'll be a lot of teams that have similar ability. I don't see anything that really, really frightens me coming down from the Premier League. So I genuinely think we've got a really good chance of making one of those playoff positions next year. So there, that's it, Nick. Yeah, and obviously, final thing. I mean, I'm sure clearly the Stoke players aren't great readers of the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, so they need to read up on that. Really, what was all that about? Changing it at the start of the game. I mean, it just throws us all off kilter, doesn't it? Really, but yeah, hopefully we'll be back to normal, and the Bede's words will be that people will stick to them at the next game. So we look forward to Millwall attacking the home end in the second half, as per Venerable Bede. Cheers, Nick. Speak to you soon, mate. Come on, you Lions.
Do you know what, Matt? I think Stoke and their manager, Mark Robbins, fancied themselves as amateur psychologists, and I think that swap around, as we said already, Venerable Bede laid it down all those years ago, that we always attack the away end in the first half. I think they thought that might mess with our heads a little bit. I suppose it kind of did a little bit. It certainly creates a rather itchy and scratchy mood around the den. But what I did notice, and coming back to Mihailo, you've mentioned people having pops at Mihailo, which I think is unfair. And I love the quote about sport being played in the head. It's true. Because the mind games continued, didn't they, with the penalty. The 26, I think his name was Phillips, I might be wrong, was trying his best to get inside Mihailo's head, get under his skin, having words. He ran past him as he was taking steps back to take the penalty, and probably had another little dig, and the goalkeeper had come out and said something or other to him. They all do this nowadays. They're all kind of pound shop Sigmund Freuds, aren't they, wanting to say that the one thing that you will get you angry and make you miss the ball. And I just think I've got to take my hat off to Mihailo, because I think if people were having a pop at me like that, it might well get under my skin, and it might make me, make an even worse penalty than I'd make naturally. But he didn't. He blasted it top right hand corner. It was really nicely finished, and that takes balls to do that, listeners. And I take my hat off to Mihailo, because he had the last laugh with the 26 who tried to push him around at the end again. And there's a great sequence on the club extended highlights where you can see him having a little go back. That's cold revenge is the best way to serve that particular dish. Now, I did promise you Rob Woodford, and I haven't played Rob's message, but I will be playing Rob after the advertisement break, and then it'll be Rob Woodford, it'll be Aussie Dave, and then we're going to play out with Bobby T. So thank you for listening, dear listeners. It's going to be my little bit done. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for the contributions today. Do give me a shout, listeners, on X. If you want to make join the team, join the gang. Always welcome messages from our listeners and contributors. And I will be back on Achtung Millwall after the international break, post Sunderland away, which is on the 29th of March. So until then, from me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall.
Achtung, Millwall.
Well, after getting over the shock of the team news and the Lions going with twin strikers in a 4-2-4 formation, the next shocking event was that we were to kick towards the CBL in the first half. Now, I know that you know, Nick, that would have rocked the venerable Bede, and you can only guess there was some monkish behaviour going on from someone in the know at Stoke. But look, apart from our goal, which was very coolly taken by the BFS, there wasn't really much to report about yesterday's game. We looked very lethargic, very slow-paced, and for once I observed the game from a different perch. Yesterday, a rare visit to the Dockers stand, and that gave us a view of John Berylson Way, and how interesting. You can still see quite a decent number of people making their way to the ground some 15, 20 minutes after the kickoff. So these early starts are catching people out, aren't they? Stoke looked like they'd done their own work on him, Marku. And isn't it strange how he makes more of an impact as an impact sub and really has a good game when starting? There were some half-decent performances from JB, JT, BM and CDN, but we struggled to get to grips with a struggling Stoke City. Their best player was the number 10. I can't remember his name. Let's call him Wu. And I was surprised he was withdrawn midway through the second half, to be honest. RBW is never a wide player for me. He doesn't have the pace, and he would be better suited, in my opinion, in a number 10 role. Aaron Connolly added a spark when he came on, and Wes and his long throws looked more dangerous than most of our set pieces. There was a lot of moaning and groaning around me about Coburn and Ivanovic, but let's keep it real here, guys. These are both youngsters still learning their craft, and that's going to involve getting bashed about by seasoned pros in the Championship, and including trying to rip the shirt off their backs at times. Remember when Sads first came into the team and how he struggled at first, but grew into his role. We have to be patient with our young forwards. Maybe the penalty was a soft decision. And let's be honest, the referee hadn't had a great game, whatever his name was. He looked like a waxworks, didn't he? Yesterday's win wouldn't have been possible without that instinctive save from Jensen. So 51 points have been reached, and with 8 games remaining, we are 8 points behind last season's total. No game for a fortnight, and I do look forward to seeing you on the Millwall History and Heritage Tour next Saturday, Nick. And if any listeners are unaware of our walking tour on the Isle of Dogs, which only takes place during international breaks, now, as ever, we're heading for another sellout with just a couple of tickets now up for grabs, which can be obtained through the Eventbrite platform. And look forward to seeing you next weekend. We can keep it on the island wall.
I have said my goodbyes for the edition, listeners, but listening to Rob's message, I just want to reinforce the really good walking tour that he organises. It's an 11 o'clock start. It's on the Isle of Dogs, and he has sent me the starting point, which I will find whilst I'm trying to talk to sound very professional. But I do recommend it. You can go onto Eventbrite and get your tickets. If it's nearly sold out, then better be sharpish about it. I shall be there, and I think we might even have Bill Slack with us. I don't know that for certain, so don't buy a ticket purely on the strength of meeting Bill. just in case he's not there and you ask for your money back. And oh God, can you imagine? But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It is, the meeting point is the Docklands Diner, which is on E14 Cannon Drive. We're going to be walking the like the 7 stations at a cross, the various points on the Isle of Dogs from which our beloved club springs. I'm going to be there, so it's next Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. So do have a look on Eventbrite. I just wanted to endorse Rob's message there. That's a very, very good tour. Anyway, back to the action. Back to Aussie Dave.
Nick, Aussie Dave here, after we stole some points from Stoke. What do we learn? Well, point 1, we ain't getting relegated. 51 points, relax, straight to the beach. Second point, we've had a few poor halves lately. Both halves against Bristol, first half against Watford, both halves against Leeds, and I would say at least the first half against Stoke. So it's strange, even though Alex Neil has been there a while, we don't seem to have much consistency. There's a lot of nothingness there, but let's give it time till he finds the right formula, and we do have a full squad to choose from. Next point, since the first season of Fleming, we've really struggled to find an effective number 10. So I was really heartened, probably, and surprised, like many Wall supporters, that we fundamentally went for a 4-4-2 yesterday, not needing a number 10. It didn't work out, but good on Alex Neil to try that. Fourth point, and leading on from the previous one, hopefully with nothing to play for now, we'll see a bit of playing around with formations and positions, just so he can really understand what he's dealing with for next season. Next point, I thought the formation was a bit lopsided. On the left side, we had a classic left winger and Maku, supported by left back in Bryant, and they interchange, and you can see what's happening. But on the right side, Cranmer was virtually the right winger as well. And RBW seemed to tuck in, and they very really interplayed with each other. So clearly that was a tactic Alex Neil set up for, but I just thought that was all a bit strange. Next point, a couple of individuals to highlight. Jensen, we've all got on his back and we're still not quite sure, but he made a great save. And without that, I don't know if we would have got any points from the game. A couple of other players, Brian, he's been really good for so many games now. This is so un-Bryant-like. Keep it up. And I thought he was in contention in a man match with Billy and Denore. And finally, we've sorted out a penalty taker. Beautifully taken, and really enjoyed it, even though I looked at it through my fingers while he was taking it. Final point, I'll be coming over soon to the old country from sunny Oz and watching 5 games in 20 days. I don't know if it's good for my constitution or whether it'll be anything to play for, but I'm looking forward to a proper pint of real ale. Come on, you Lions.
Nick Hart, Bobby T, Achtung, Millwall, podcast of the fucking year, mate. Coming to the end of the season, nearly 9 games to go. First one to hear the fucking Potters. I'm here early, an hour early. Sunshine's beaming on the old clouds like you, Nick Hart. Far away from you, though. The Potters, Stoke at home. I don't know who he's going to choose tonight. Today's kickoff, lunchtime kickoff, early morning, Saturday, community day. Food hub. Achtung, Millwall t-shirt. Anyway, back to football. If we're not careful today, it's going to be a very challenging, hard game. Stoke City fucking built like a fucking... I mean, they've got a couple of good centre-backs. But in midfield, I've just looked up. They've got 2 Japanese, Chinese attacking midfielders. If we're not careful... And again, the Japanese and the Chinese and footballers, very technical, very quick. Got to be on our toes today, Millwall boys. But yeah, I think 2 midfielders, attacking midfielders. Ben Pearson, I remember his name. Otherwise, they got no one, really. Oh, fuck, Sam Gallagher. That guy rings a bell. Anyway, listening to Lionel Richie, or it's, I don't know, it's 80s tunes. I'm busting the tunes down at the den. Fucking, it's 11:05. Anyway, I'm here early, 12:30 kickoff, 3 points to get into the 5 point of playoffs. Do you know what? Proud of him over this season. Alex Neil's took over. People are in, out, not sure about him. He's been a manager all over the place. Norwich, Stoke, this. Oh, fuck, Stoke, his old club. Anyway, think it's Michael Jackson. I don't know who sings this. It was Lionel Richie. Anyway, Nick Hart, Bobby T at the Den live. And you know what, today, even though I've got one eye on QPR Leeds because I hate QPR, I hate Leeds, I want Leeds to fuck up. All that fucking social media, they beat us and all that. It's gone now. We've done a great season this season. Bye for now, Bobby T. I might give you half-time analysis, full-time analysis. I will fucking do, because today's the must-win. Bye for now, Bobby T. Signing off in South East West London. Millwall. Nick Hart, Bobby T, just had a bit of an update, and Alex Neil was at a fucking good breakfast. I don't know what he's cooking, but I don't know. I think he's seen the fucking light. The team news is 4-4-2. There's no number 10. Crandall, thank fuck, he's dropped. No Honey Poo. This is a fucking attacking team, mate, at 11:45. Can't see you in the corner. Lions then in the old airport traffic control up top. Birdship corner, can't see you there. But anyway, 4-4-2. Now this is the only way we're going to see the Millwall shape. Remember the Harris way back in the day? Play ugly, up top to Morrison, Gregory, 4-4-2. Now with Coburn and Ivanovic, they've got to do some partnership on the wings. And Mackle starting. Ooh, suspect. Let's see today. Banker Williams on the wing, trickery. And that's it. Midfield, well, Billy and Casper. Yeah, Billy's not bad. But again, not saying sideways. He's one of our own, but... I mean, Kelly's not on the bench, but Matthews, let's see. Find out for the half-time analysis. Bobby T signing off at the live at the Den. Millwall, no one likes us. Achtung, bye for now. Nick Hart, Achtung, Bobby T. Fucking first off, utter shite. What have Coburn and Mihailo done all fucking game? What have they done? You told fucking me. Absolutely dog shite. No service, fuck all, nothing. Been a close game. But yeah, for me, 4-4-2 at the moment, it's not working. Bye for now, half-time 0-0. Nick Hart, Bobby T, 57 minutes gone. For me and Mako, got all the pace in the world, Nick. And Achtung, with all the pace in the fucking world. Beats the man. No end product. 57 minutes gone on the clock. I can see you in the old clouds. Not one shot on target. Fucking joke. Bobby T here. What the fuck did they do in fucking training? Even before the game. Not a shot on target. It's just embarrassing, Achtung Millwall, Nick. Embarrassing. 1 goal in this game. Yeah, Collins come on. For Amaku, done fuck all Amaku. Connolly's had a drink already. He had a drink last night, and now he's gone to a fight. But where's Harden? It's better than Crammer. Fucking Crammer. Got to win this, Nick Hart. Got to win this. 15 minutes to go. Achtung Millwall. Mihailo. Well, all game he done fuck all, mate. The game was heading for 0-0. A win's a fucking win. You fucking asked me. I told you Stoke, physical dog fucking bite and bollocks game it was. But hey, one team were going to win it, and it was Millwall, Mihailo. All game, done fuck all. I thought Billy Mitchell done well, man of the match for me. Gave it to Casper. Colony came in, rattled them. A win's a win, boys. I don't give a fuck now. 5 points off playoff. Ain't going to happen, but... in Alex Neil, we trust now so far. But then again, it backfired a bit because he put on 4-4-2 and the whole game, not having a chance, not having a shot on target. It took a penalty and we huffed and puffed, and it's the Millwall way, the Lions. Bobby signing off, Achtung Millwall, 1-0 to the Lions. Potters, you go home fucking empty-handed. Achtung
Millwall.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.